In terms of next steps, we literally just yesterday submitted a different grant application. We want to further the work that we did with our IRL project. So doing other case studies with other orgs across the country and getting a sense of how do we operationalize and measure working in this person-centered relational way that supports communities and is led by communities. So yeah, that's one of the ways that the IRL has changed me, in that I used to introduce myself as a therapist. Now I say, like, I'm a therapist and a researcher. I want to keep doing this. I really appreciate that as a function of the design of IRL and as a function of the culture of Boston Glass, we we have remained committed to serving LGBTQ plus youth of color by serving the LGBTQ plus staff of color that are working at these orgs. And so that has meant that our project shifted a lot. That means that this scrappiness and resilience that the community has because we've had to has shifted the way that our project looks. So our project has changed shape a bunch. The challenges that Boston Glass is facing has changed a bunch, particularly in the current political climate. Glass is being defunded. And so we we have this strategy of like putting the needs of the community first, no matter what the funders want, no matter what like the traditional academic institutions want. We're here to serve the community first and foremost. And so this like scrappiness and willingness to pivot, I think, is going to be baked into all of our future work together.
Yeah, I think as part of our next steps, as Davine said, we just put in this application yesterday, fingers crossed. But, we actually already had a funded grant together that was part of a larger center at Harvard that got terminated by the federal government. And so, I think revising bits and pieces of that as well, because what we wanted to do is create an opportunity for a larger group to be part of this tent of community engaged, social justice focused researchers. So I think that's also going to be part of it, is sort of like making it available and accessible to others who also want to be working in this way to whatever extent feels appropriate and available to them. But the idea that making that through line a little easier for them to see how their work can and should advance social justice, I think feels like a really important part of what we can do together. Yeah, so I think the IRL experience has kind of put us on a really nice path to thinking about broadening the tent, but then also serving Boston Glass. Part of our current project is thinking about, where are there opportunities for Glass to generate revenue as a function of some of the work that we're doing. I don't think that I would have thought of that on day one as part of what we were doing. It was more like, we'll hand this off and people can do. But this is now just part of the project, is we're going to set things up in a way that prime the organization to be able to get those kinds of funds and sustain the wonderful work that they're doing. So I think maybe it just feels like a little more pragmatic, right? Like it's always been the intent. I'm an implementation scientist. So my whole thing is supposed to be about helping research get into the world, but it's still in an academic setting. So it still gets kind of, wonky. And this is really about, as Davine said, like centering the folks who the organization is serving. Mm-hmm. I think that's been a really nice shift. And I'm really glad that we got Davine hooked on research.
I didn't see it coming.